I'm going to introduce our speaker for our September meeting. Sarah Stock is the lead wildlife ecologist for Yosemite National Park in California, where she is overseeing this program of land animal biodiversity for the last, since 2006. Her primary research has focused on birds, bats, fishers, bighorn sheep, and Sierra Nevada red foxes. She lives in Yosemite Valley with her family, very lucky, where she enjoys birding, scrambling on steep cliffs, naturalizing, and of course, butterflies. Tonight's program is titled Yosemite Butterfly Count, 11 Years of Citizen Science. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Sarah, and she is going to let us know all about beautiful Yosemite National Park and butterflies. Thank you for joining us, Sarah.
Thank you, Donna, and nice to meet all of you. Donna, I'm wondering if I can share my screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay.
I just made you, hold on, let me make you host and then we'll try this.
I think it just worked.
Okay, you're host.
So, okay. We'll see how that goes.
Perfect.
Did that work?
Yep, you're on.
Oh, good. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know if any of you have been to Yosemite National Park. I feel like we're kind of far away from New Jersey, but I would love to go on that field trip with you guys. Cape May, I went there many years ago as part of like an owl migration project, because that's what I did my graduate work on. And I just love that area. So, and I imagine there's good butterflies there too. So thank you for having me. Again, my name is Sarah Stock, and I'm the wildlife ecologist at Yosemite National Park. And I'm going to talk about the Yosemite butterfly count. And this poster here has some of our premier species: Sierra sulphur, heather blue, American copper, rockslide, checker spot, and Sierra Nevada parnassian. But I'm going to be talking about the diversity that we have in Yosemite. All right, let's see if I can do this. Hopefully you're seeing the next slide. So a little bit of background about the Yosemite butterfly count. It began in 2011. And that was when a colleague of mine, I've been in Yosemite since 2006. So a colleague of mine in the Park Service from Pinnacles, his name's Paul Johnson. He's very passionate about butterflies. And he suggested the idea, and I was completely intimidated to start a butterfly count in Yosemite because I really don't know much about butterflies. But I do think of myself as a naturalist and love observing butterflies. And I'm also the compiler of the Christmas bird count. So I figured, once I learned about the NABA count, I was like, oh gosh, they're pretty similar. And I also feel like there's general value in gaining a better understanding of butterfly occurrence in Yosemite for the purpose of just gaining knowledge. Plus, another thing that was kind of swayed me to starting the count was I have a colleague in the Division of Interpretation in the park, and she was also enthusiastic about helping me. So that kind of seemed like a natural combination of me, the scientist, and then her, the interpreter, to be able to do this together. So Paul encouraged us to start the NABA 4th of July count and guided me towards some other experts who could be the leaders. And so at this point, I had the encouragement and support I needed. And it was really just an excuse to spend a day looking at butterflies, because I really have been intrigued with them for a long time. And I really like butterflies. And even though they're not a vertebrate species, so my job is actually focused on vertebrates, I make an exception for them. So this is one of my favorites, the Sierra sulphur. And also, it's a butterfly that's fairly common and localized areas that people will come from far away to see. They're endemic to the Sierra Nevada, but seen in Yosemite. So my justification for starting this count was butterflies are diverse and colorful, and they pollinate flowers, so they're important. They're key indicators of healthy systems. And we've documented more than 60 species inhabiting the high country, which is where our count takes place. And we're able to document rare and track the occurrence over time of rare and unusual species. So this count would not exist without a dedicated following of leaders and volunteers. Over the years, this has become a pretty popular event. This was in 2019. These were the participants that showed up at the meeting location and time. 65 participants. This was also pre-COVID. So we've had a little bit, like, I was kind of listening to you guys talking about, like, do we do in person or do we stay with virtual? And it's just the same, we're all grappling with how to deal with COVID. So we've had reduced effort since COVID, which has been too bad. But this year, we didn't have 65 participants. We only had 48. But I think that speaks to people just really wanting this event. It really matters to them. And I will say that all these people showed up, and it was really, really smoky. So not only is this kind of dealing with COVID, although, we were like, okay, we've got vaccinations, we've got boosters, we can do this. And of course we had this gigantic wildfire in the park. But people did show up, and that's a testament to how popular it is. So one of the broad appeals for me to hold this account every year is that it is part of this North American Butterfly Association network, and that it comes along with a standardized protocol and a data repository. And being a scientist in the park, the data part is important to me, and having NABA act as a data repository for its nationwide network, much like the National Audubon Society is a data repository for the Christmas bird count, made it really appealing. And the data, as are summarized in the NABA publication each season. And also we post our raw data on the Yosemite National Park website for anyone to take a look at or query. So this is a figure on the North American Butterfly Association website of all the counts. And I found you guys are way over here on the East Coast. And I'm way over here in the West. I'm one of these mountainous points, which I'll zoom in on. So I just think it's really cool that, there's this network of people like you and me across the country who, care enough to do these counts. And then if you zoom in on the Sierra Nevada, the central Sierra Nevada counts, we're the one in the middle. And I believe we're probably the highest elevation count in Yosemite and one of the highest elevation counts in the nation. Our count circle goes up to over 13,000 feet elevation. So each count circle is 15 miles in diameter, and observers count the butterfly, all butterflies observed within a 1-day period. And observers can get information for how to register on the North American Butterfly website. So I think you just get information by clicking that circle. So if you want to join our butterfly count in Yosemite, just click that circle and you'll get my contact information. So a participant signs up with me, and then what happens next? Then we meet. It's always the last Monday in July, and we meet at 9 a.m. in Tuolumne Meadows. So this is our meeting location. And that morning, we sign up the participants as National Park Service volunteers. We assign participants to one of our leaders. We have about 6 to 9 leaders that I can count on every year to show up who are just phenomenal. They love to teach, and they know their butterflies like nobody's business, just really impressive individuals. depending on the COVID situation, we'll try to carpool. And then we make announcements at the beginning of the day about meeting at the end of the day for the compilation. And then we break up into groups. And I mentioned that we have a person from the Division of Interpretation who helps with this. This is my friend Karen on the right-hand side, and she's been helping with this from the very beginning. And this is a picture that also includes Ken Davenport, who's one of our more knowledgeable folks on butterflies in the state of California, and he's been coming every year. And one of the nice things about Karen being involved with me is we hold the compilation at the end of the day in basically where her cabin is. And so she's really familiar with the area and can help people get oriented and help with the logistics. And also she's an interpretive ranger, so she makes people feel really welcome. Whereas I'm a scientist, and scientists, that's not always our strong point. So it's good to buddy up with those people who can kind of, help you out. So throughout the day, there's a big emphasis on learning. And I mean, I think that's what brings people back year after year, is just learning more and more about butterflies. And there's also different ages, it spans in the park, employees from the park, but also people from the public. People will drive a long ways to come to this butterfly count. And it's also pretty transferable. You can be a bird person, for example, as you know, and know how to look up things in field guides and just have that studious nature. So I mentioned our count spans elevation gradient. So the lowest part of our count is at 7,000 feet elevation at Mono Lake, and it spans all the way up to over 13,000 feet, which is the park's highest peak, which is Dana Peak. So this the picture on the left is up on Mount Dana, and you can see the habitat is totally different than the picture on the right, which is a mountain meadow down at 7,000 feet elevation with willows and a completely different wetland community than you'll have up in the Alpine. So that is what contributes, excuse me, to our butterfly diversity. And not only are we learning and meeting new friends and meeting new people, but we're also having fun. Here's a picture of a gentleman who joined our count this year, who was really enjoying the butterflies. And here's different ages. This is my daughter on the left. She used to join the butterfly count more frequently. Now she just graduated from high school. I don't know if my backdrop, I think you can see a monarch, like a couple monarchs and some milkweed and half dome in my picture, my profile picture. And my daughter Autumn that's a painting that she did for me. So I thought I'd show it for you guys since it was relevant. And just, again, just a really fun day. There's really nothing better than being outside. And then when you're, studying natural history outside and really thinking about and observing animals, it's just no better way to spend the day and spend that day with friends. This is one of my employees. His day job is tracking the endangered fisher, which is a carnivore. So he'd never identified a butterfly in his life, and here he is, studying a butterfly really closely and really thinking about that butterfly. Where does it come from? Where are its host plants? How old is it? How old is it going to live to be? There's all these questions once you start digging a little deeper that just really draw you in. And so now, not only is he tracking the endangered fisher that we have collared, but he's also looking for butterflies every day. just another picture of what the day is like, you know, the teamwork that's involved with finding and identifying butterflies. You know, everyone can work together to do that. And I like this picture. This is Mono Lake in the background. Our count is just a incredibly beautiful count, incredible backdrops to every group has an incredible backdrop, no matter what area they're covering. And there's 7 people in this picture, and each of the 7 people are having their own butterfly experience. So not only is there a group effort going on, but there's also just this individual sense of discovery. And here's some pictures of butterflies that that observers or participants have sent me over the years. This is a pine white and a Zarine fritillary. I don't know how you all say it in New Jersey. We can't seem to decide in California, so I guess I can just call it whatever I want. And Sierra sulfur, again, one of my favorite butterflies, and a lot of people's one of their favorites. This lime green with the pink fringe is pretty phenomenal. Rock slide checker spot. This is one of the higher elevation species that we try to see each year. My group saw this butterfly during our count. Sheridan's hair streak, Melissa blue. And just it's a fun day. So we're learning, we're, you know, spending time with other people and sharing that learning, but we're also just, there's just something about, you probably know this because you're all butterfly people, it just kind of brings out the kid in you. And so this is capturing that kid-like moment. And speaking of passion, here are 2 passionate individuals, Jeffrey Glasberg on the left and Ken Davenport on the right. I mentioned Ken, he is one of the experts in California that comes to our count every year and just contributes so much. And then Jeffrey Glasberg, so in 2013, July 2013, I showed up at the meeting spot at the meeting time, and Jeffrey Glasberg came over to my car window before I even got out of the car and introduced himself to me. And wow, was that exciting to have Jeffrey Glasberg join our count. And it was that day that I really fully understood that there's different approaches to identifying and counting butterflies. And, Jeffrey Glasberg is a proponent of viewing butterflies through binoculars and cameras and minimizing the handling of butterflies. Whereas people like Ken Davenport is a proponent of taking the butterflies as specimens, asserting that sometimes that's the best way to confirm identification. And one of the unique things about our count circle is that it's half on Park Service land, where you can't take specimens without a research permit, and it's also half on Forest Service land, where you can take specimens. So we really can accommodate people who come from both perspectives. And each year I renew our research permit for this event so that people in the park can do catch and release with their net, but not take specimens. And this event really is for everyone, because not only do you have kind of like those different perspectives, but we also have the science perspective. This is Sean Schofield. He is a geneticist from University of Wisconsin, and he's doing genetic research on butterflies. He has been in the park for a number of years. So this event brings people together, who have different objectives, but who are all motivated by butterflies, especially conservation. And I'll mention that one year in 2015, Robert Michael Pyle joined the count, and he is an author of popular books as well as field guides. So that's one of the benefits of having the count be associated with Yosemite, is we do get people from far away join the count, which is a real treat for us. And then the compilation is at the end of the day at 5 o'clock at Ranger Camp. And that is just a really fun couple of hours of all the leaders. You know, we go through each species and then we tally all the species across all the areas. And it's most importantly is an opportunity to share observations, test each other's knowledge a little bit in a friendly way. And just, you know, the leaders really shine at the, well, they shine all day long, but at the compilation, you know, sometimes their conversations about identifying butterflies are so over my head, and I'm so impressed and feel so lucky to have them there. And I think that's how all the participants feel, you know, observing the compilation. Some outcomes of the Yosemite Butterfly Count is an app that we have that people can download from the Apple Store. It was produced by a software engineer who just started coming to our count and was really just, you know, wanted to do something for Yosemite and for Yosemite butterflies. And Yosemite Conservancy funded that app, and any of you can download it. We also have a wildlife observation database in the park, and as it is right now, this is a tool for managers, and the observations get downloaded from iNaturalist and eBird, but there's no invertebrate data, unfortunately, that populates our wildlife observation database. But we're totally set up to do that with iNaturalist feeding data into it. So that's one of our goals for the future. Okay, so lastly, the Yosemite Butterfly Count is part of, you know, is incorporated into this pre-existing framework. And, you know, that is really in large part what makes it possible. We're partnering with interpretation, and that's a hugely added benefit. This count invites different perspectives, from viewing butterflies through binoculars, you know, to collecting butterflies, and that makes it a really rewarding outcome for learning. And I can help ease the tension if there is any, because I share all the participants' passion for butterflies, but I'm not a butterfly expert, so I can mediate if needed. The compilation at the end of the day is celebratory, lively discussions, pizza, etc. And we all have that common goal of building community around butterflies. And this is the last slide. These are some of the things, well, a couple of quotes. This was one of the leaders, Greg Caryopoulos. He said, one of the top 5 destinations for any California butterfly enthusiast is the Yosemite Butterfly Count. And Liam O'Brien, another one of the leaders, said, Yosemite Butterfly Count has quickly become center court Wimbledon of California Butterfly Count season. He said that after, I think, the first or second year, because we were just all so excited about how many butterflies we were counting together. And then it is recognized as getting some of the national highs for NABA counts. Okay, and with that, I conclude my talk, and I'm happy to answer any questions, although I know for you guys it's getting on to be bedtime. I know for me it would be.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
You're muted, John.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
No, I hear you.
When is the count held? Like what, you know, month is it?
Yeah, it's the last Monday in July. So I believe this next year it's July something. I could try looking it up, but always the last Monday in July. And I think it might be on the NABA website.
And so this is Kathy. I have a question. So I have the NABA Butterfly Counts 2021 report, and I was just wondering what the name of it was, because I didn't see Yosemite.
Yeah, so that's the 1 year that we've canceled.
Okay.
We had to cancel because of a lightning storm. I guess that's the downside of having a count that includes high elevation. So I was worried about safety.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Sarah?
Yeah, it's Joyce Clowley. I was wondering, with all the fires, I'm assuming that there have been burned areas in Yosemite, and are butterflies repopulating these areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we did have a researcher, actually Sean Scoville, who I mentioned before, who did specifically look at butterflies in the rimfire footprint, which was from 2013. And yeah, absolutely. Wildflowers come back after a fire almost immediately, and the butterflies are really quick to respond. So yeah, and it's interesting too, because our fires have burned at low, medium, and high severity, depending on which fire it is and what elevation and what habitat type it's burning in. And so we see, a really varied response to butterflies coming back.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 3 fires burning in the park right now. It's really smoky in Yosemite Valley. But these are, for the most part, well, 2 of them are lightning started, so they're good fires. So I just kind of have to suck it up with the smoke. The other one was started by someone, a human. Is being investigated, and so that's always unfortunate.
Yeah, I think we had a program, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it was in reference to repopulating of butterflies after fire in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, which is a fire-based ecosystem. And as I recall, I think the conclusion was that they do readily repopulate burned areas, which is thankful.
Yeah, I would say the same for here.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. Gary here. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
In the time you've been doing this, have you noticed any trends in either the number of species or the number of total individuals you've counted? Are they increasing, decreasing, or about the same?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mentioned I really love the data part. But I don't think we have any fine trends like that. It's our data seems pretty, I don't know if stochastic's the right word. That's the word that just came to mind, because sometimes we'll have a lot of one particular species, but then the next year we won't have that species again, and vice versa. So I'm not quite sure what would be driving a pattern like that. It just seems like the nature of butterflies in July is, well, okay, so it feels really localized, like this year was a drought year. It was super, super dry, but our count was pretty good because we just went to those areas, the wet areas where we knew we would have butterfly. Well, we just went for like varied habitat, and we tried to account for the drought. But I could see, man, if we had like 10 more years of this kind of drought, I would foresee seeing some pattern, some declines.
As a follow-up to that, did you say that the entire count circle is either park or forest land, U.S. Forest Service land?
So it's a mixture. So the west half, so the count circle is centered on Tioga Pass, which is right at the boundary between Yosemite and the Forest Service.
Okay.
So
you
don't
really, I'm sorry, you don't really worry about habitat destruction through development. It's something we see a lot of in New Jersey.
Yeah, I could see that being a pretty big difference. We don't. So I guess in some ways you could think of our count as being more as like an example of a wildland count, where we don't have those disturbances from land use or human use as much, which is great. We need examples like that especially for comparison.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine some of those count circles near the Bay Area or down in Los Angeles have different experience than you have.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of pavement in the San Francisco one for, or, in some of the areas. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, am I hearing any other questions? If not, I'd like to thank Sarah so much for joining us from California. We truly appreciate it and like to live vicariously, from your experiences in the high country of Yosemite.
Thank you all. Thanks for the invitation. I'm glad Jeff Glasberg passed along my name. Nice to
Yeah,
meet you all.
Appreciate it. Maybe we can go to galley view. Jen, are you able to switch things back?
Actually, Sarah, you would have to
There-
do that.
There we are.
Yeah. So Sarah, if you could just go to participants and look for my name, mine will just say Jen hyphen Butterfly Club of NJ, and just make me host again.
Okay.
Actually, I think we're back in galley view, so I just wanted to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sarah. You're good, Donna.
Yeah, great. I just wanted to, again, thank Sarah for joining us this evening. And I want to thank everybody for participating in our discussions. And we will get an email out in the next few days regarding the Cape May field trip and the information regarding Ann Watts passing, and also some information on what we're going to do from November on as far as Zoom or in person, or we may be just doing a little bit of both depending on, what life has in store for us with the pandemic. So if anyone has any other suggestions, when you get that email, let me know if you have any other ideas on and we'll take it there. And like I said, next month, we are going to continue with our Zoom format because I do have a speaker booked. And then we'll see what we shall see for November. In the meantime, everyone stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon, either in the field or at a meeting. Take care all. Good night.
Thanks, Donna.
Night.
Good night.